thegearnetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Here we go. Hey, everything on three. Number three. Wait on one. Oh, wait on three. 1, 2, 3. Wait. I got a little mixed up in that. Eyes on three. Everything on 3 and 1. Everything.
You are now listening to the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chazz, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast. And this is something new here. We're doing a mock draft review that I did. The draft is Thursday, 8 o'clock. So, you know, there's a lot of homies, a lot of professional homies doing, fantasy football mock or, NFL mock drafts and stuff like that. So I decided to do one myself. Now we're not going to go through the whole draft process as it is. We're not just going to go through the draft, or we're not going to do the draft live. I've already done the draft, rather. So we're going to go through it, and we're going to share my thoughts with you and how it affects fantasy football. And we didn't do any trades in this draft. There's going to be some trades. This isn't going to be perfect. We know that, but so no trades in this draft. But it is a very offensive heavy draft and quarterbacks and just it's pretty wild. If you're watching at on the YouTube, you can see the draft here. I just pulled up, and if you're listening, don't worry, we're gonna go through it for you. So with the first overall pick, the Chicago Bears shock nobody and take Caleb Williams, and definitely he's the best quarterback in the draft. And honestly, with the weapons they got, and spoiler alert, might get more. Right now, you have Keenan Allen, you have Cole Kmet, and you have DJ Moore. I mean, those are great weapons as it is. And like I said, they might do something later. So Caleb Williams might be a back-end fantasy football starter, honestly, right from the go. He might be like around 12 or 13. He's a very talented, very good quarterback, and he's going into a situation and a good situation. And props to Chicago to pull this trade off. This is the trade that they made with Carolina last year they wanted to get Bryce Young in the first overall pick, so they traded their next year's first to get up there, and it turned out to be the first overall pick because Bryce Young was not very good, as we know, and Caleb Williams is a much better prospect than Bryce Young. So with the second overall pick, we have the Washington Commanders taking Jaden Daniels, a quarterback out of LSU, and it's pretty good. Like, he's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's going into a situation with scary Terry McLaurin, and they've got some decent weapons there with Terry McLaurin, and then another receiver. I'm just blanking on his name, but he was a first round pick a couple years ago from Penn State. There, what's up, Pickles? What's up? And then they've got also Brian Robinson at running back. So Jaden Daniels getting in there. I don't know if he's going to have an impact. We look at. I think he'll be somewhere between the rookies last year. Like, he won't be as bad as Bryce Young, but he's certainly not going to be as good as C.J. Stroud was there. 3 quarterbacks in a row because the New England Patriots get their man in Drake May. Drake May is probably the most, between these last two, Jaden and Drake, he's the most pro-ready, pro-style quarterback. Guy can move a little bit, got a nice arm, but he's going to be going here to the Patriots, and I think he's a good fit for them. Defensive-minded young coach. This isn't a guy you don't have to coach up too much. It's not like he's going to step in and dominate the league, but he's the type of guy that's not going to drive you crazy and make weird plays and run around and be a circus act. He's not going to be like that. He's not going to be like how Johnny Manziel was, Kyler Murray is. Like, that's not who he's going to be. And for a defensive-minded coach, this is like the perfect fit. So first 3 quarterbacks in a row, pretty chalk. Number 4, we got Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Arizona Cardinals, and they literally have no wide receiver right now. I believe Michael Wilson is their number 1, so they definitely need this. He is the best wide receiver prospect in years coming out of Ohio State. There was a point where Ohio State had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and this guy was outplaying them all. So this guy is one of those can't miss prospects. So we're going to go into pick 5, and we're sitting at the LA Chargers. Jim Harbaugh is there, guys. Oh, the LA Chargers, they just released both of their receivers. Released one or traded one and didn't re-sign the other. They got Quentin Johnston, who did shit. There's still great receivers on the board. They're going to take one of those, right? Nah, bruh. This is Greg Roman. This is Jim Harbaugh. Okay, guys. They're going with a tackle, Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. Don't be surprised. I've said this all the time. I said this in my last mock draft too. They're going Joe Alt, tackle from Notre Dame, or they're going to trade out, but we didn't do trades. But I believe in where my picks are. And what I mean by that is, like, I believe that the Chargers are taking an offensive lineman. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do it at 5. They might trade out and get it, but I believe that they're going to take an offensive lineman. And so next at 6, you got the New York Giants, and they have no receivers, right? But they also have possibly a weakness at quarterback, and I don't believe that Daboll loves Daniel Jones, and they can get out of Daniel Jones' contract easier next year. And they're going to just take J.J. McCarthy, and they're going to try to see what they can get out of DJ. And have JJ learn. You don't have to start him right away. And I think they're just going to do it. I think they're going to make the change. I know that doesn't fit a lot of people's scenarios, but I just have a feeling that that's what's going to happen here, because they're going to just move on from DJ, which is, I mean, I get it. Then we got number 7. We got another tackle coming off the board, J.C. Latham. I know everybody was simping out all over these wide receivers, and there's going to be so many in the first round, but you're not seeing it quite yet. J.C. Latham, tackle from Tennessee. I mean, that's what they're going to do. I mean, they're going to take a lineman. Tennessee's going to take a lineman. They signed Calvin Ridley. They still got Nuke. They have Treylon Burks. They took Will Levis last year. They just went and got Pickles, you just hit your head on the remote or on the microphone. They went and got Tony Pollard. So they're going to get an offensive lineman. Number 8, the first defensive player going off the board, edge rusher Dallas Turner going to the Falcons. And everybody is, mocking this, and it just makes sense. They need a little edge rush help. Their offense is pretty stacked. They just got their quarterback. Their offensive lineman ain't the worst. They still need some help, but they're getting the best pass rusher, arguably. I mean, it's the first one off the board. They might take a different pass rusher who they think is the best, but the best pass rusher coming off the board at 8 to them. You can't beat that. And the Bears are back on the clock at 9, and they walk in to Malik Neighbors, wide receiver. I know at first I didn't understand why they would do that, because they already have DJ Moore. They already have Keenan Allen, but Keenan Allen is old. He's a 1-year deal. He's going to help. He's going to help Caleb Williams grow. I get it now. They can pair Caleb Williams with the receiver, Malik Neighbors. Did Malik Neighbors make Jaden Daniels? Did Jaden Daniels make Malik Neighbors? Are they both good? Like, it's great because we get to see, and we get to check it out there. So finishing off our top 10, we got another offensive player. That's going to be 9 offensive players in the top 10 picks, and that would be tight end Brock Bowers to the Jets. Of course, as a Bills fan, that's not what I want to see, but Brock Bowers is the man. He is as high of a prospect as Dalton Kincaid was last year that the Bills got. Brock Bowers is even better coming out of Georgia. I mean, this guy is just great. He's every bit as good as Dalton Kincaid, if not better. So I hate to see it there, but that's what's going to happen. Now there's going to be some surprises here. You don't see this as much, but we got a surprise here with Minnesota taking a quarterback, Bo Nix here. I mean, they lost out on the top 4, But Bo Nix, I mean, this is what happens. Do I think that Bo Nix should go this early? No, but this is what happens with quarterbacks. So Bo Nix is going to get overdrafted, and he's going to go there, and that's where he's going to go. Now, you got on the 12th overall pick. Now, normally, they were in the market for a quarterback, but they just made a trade for Zach Wilson, and I don't think you make a trade for Zach Wilson. I know it's a 6th-round pick, but Zach Wilson's fit with Sean Payton's pretty good, to be honest. So they're gonna shore up their defensive line and get Jerzon Newton. The reason I say that is because that just seems like a Sean Payton thing to do. Honestly, they have so many offensive needs. He's an offensive coach. It was like that it was like that back when he was in New Orleans, and they would always take some kind of defensive player, and I just feel that's what's going to happen here. So then another surprise at 13, the Vegas Raiders take Michael Penix Jr., quarterback out of Washington, and it is the premier Raiders pick. It's a reach. It's a quarterback that needs some development, but it seems like the right guy in the right system there. And Antonio Pierce seems like his kind of player. And it just seems like a lot of players will do anything for Antonio Pierce, it seems like. And it just seems like Michael Penix Jr. is going to fit there perfectly. So he's going to go there. So that's 5 quarterbacks in top 13 picks, guys. The Saints at 14 is going to take Byron Murphy, the defensive lineman for Texas, arguably the best defensive lineman in the draft. They need help everywhere. Shout out to you, Saints Joe. So they're not going to take something that exciting, not with their defensive minded mindset. They're not going to do it. So just going to happen. So then he falls to a great place. I've got Rome Odunze, who I think is a top 3 to 2 receiver in this draft, falling all the way to 15 to end up with the Indianapolis Colts, and they got a good start pair of wide receivers with Odunze and Michael Pittman Jr. And don't forget about Alex Pierce and Josh Downs, and of course pair that with Jonathan Taylor and AR. So that'll be a scary offense, and they took a step back last year, but they're going to get it together this year with that pick. To finish off the first half of this draft, we've got the first cornerback coming off the board to Seattle, Quinion Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo, and arguably he is the best cornerback on the board. I can't act like I'm a cornerback whisperer, but we just went with that one because it seems right. At 17, we've got cornerback listed, but possibly safety, Cooper DeJean going to Jacksonville, and I think they need help in the secondary. So either way is good for him. My last mock, I think I had the Bills taking him there, but he's going up the draft board. So now here's an interesting one. At 18 overall, you've got the Cincinnati Bengals, and they are in a bind with T. Higgins. A lot of people have T. Higgins getting moved and getting traded, and if that's the case, that's interesting. I think, there is a chance that the Bills make a move for T. Higgins, but we didn't do any trades here. So, people think that they might take a receiver here because there's only 3 gone and they need to get a new receiver in there to replace T. Higgins. Bro, you just had your quarterback go down again. 2nd season loss to injury after his rookie season. He is a banged up quarterback. He's the richest quarterback in the league, I think, right? I don't think he overtook. I think he did overtake. Who was it? It was Justin Herbert. I think it's him now. But either way, he's been banged up. You need to protect him. They're going to take the offensive lineman out of Oregon State, Talizi Fuaga. I think that's how you say it. They just need to protect Joe Burrow. Sorry, Joe Burrow needs to stay on his feet and not on his ass or his back. So they're going to take him. I'm sorry, Bengals fans, you're not going to like it, but that's what it is. 19th overall, the Los Angeles Rams are going to take Laiatu Latu. A lot of people have him as the best edge rusher on this draft, but he's very polarizing. So he's going to go there. They just lost. I know they just lost the big man in the middle there, but you can't just replace him with a random guy. So they need to rebuild that defensive line, and it starts with some pass rushing, and that's what they're going to do here. So then the Steelers sitting there 20, they do need a receiver. There's some sitting there, but it's just not what the Steelers do. They're not going to take a receiver in the first round. I don't think so. I can't remember the last time they took a receiver in the first round. It might have been Plaxico Burress. Because if you look back, their receivers, their best receivers lately, Deontay Johnson was like a second-round pick. The kid they have now from Georgia is a second-round pick. Mike Wallace was like a fifth-round pick. Antonio Brown was like a fifth-round pick. So they don't take receivers in the first round. So George Pickens, that's the name I was forgetting about. So yeah, that's I don't see them taking a receiver. So 21st overall, Dolphins get a good player here. They get edge rusher Jared Verse from Florida State. They need some help on the line. They're going to be chasing around Josh Allen. They're going to be chasing around Drake May. They're going to be chasing around Aaron Rodgers. So they need some pass rush help. They're going to do it there. 22 in the Eagles. Of course, the Eagles get a steal in the draft, who I think is the best corner in the draft, Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama. They get a steal. That's what the Eagles get. It works out perfect for them. We're on a little bit of a defensive run here, actually, which is nice to see. And then so we have the Vikings on the clock. The Vikings got their QB earlier, and now they're going to get their they need cornerback help. They need help on the defensive backfield, so they're going to take Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. Then you got the Dallas Cowboys, and they definitely need a running back. They could use a receiver help, but they're going to make the smart move. They're going to protect Dak. They're going to shore up that offensive line. They're going to take a tackle, Troy Fatanu out of Washington. And we're going to pair that back to back with the Green Bay Packers taking a tackle as well. They're taking Graham Barton out of Duke. And I think that makes sense for the Packers. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers took a receiver. They have such great young weapons everywhere. But that could be a Jordan Love thing. Do all of a sudden Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson and Jaden Reed and the tight ends they have there, are they all just great, or is Love making them great, right? So if it is Love, get a nice tackle. You had your guys retire, get a tackle, and get a tackle in there and protect Jordan Love, because that is your franchise. That's your future, and you're about to pay him a lot of money too. Then you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who they cut Mike Evans. They still have Chris Godwin. Their running backs were taking a step up. Rashad White. They re-signed Baker. They need a little help everywhere, but they were a playoff team. They're getting the best center on the board, arguably, possibly the best offensive lineman in the whole board with Jackson Powers Johnson. I think it's a perfect fit for them. This next pick here, this was Houston pick, and now it's Arizona Cardinals. This was a tough one for me because they got their receiver earlier with Marvin Harrison. They're not going to pick another one. This could be a traded pick, but I kept him there. I got him some secondary help with Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota, a safety, to pair with Budda Baker back there, like if he's still there, but he might be gone too. So it's like, they just need a little help on the back end, so they got 2 first-round picks there. Then we got our Buffalo Bills, and I believe I had them take him last time. I was thinking about maybe taking AD Mitchell here, but I'm going with my gut, which I've said all along. Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, going to the Bills here. It's just what they need. They don't have a receiver like this on there, and now with Diggs leaving, like, he can come in and start. I just like that pick a lot. AD Mitchell will be fine, though, too. So then you're going to move on to 29 with the Lions, and they take a cornerback from Michigan, Mike Sanristil. I don't know these names right, but that's a very Lions pick right now. They were in the NFC Championship game. They're shoring up their secondary. That's a great pick for them. And then now we're moving on to the Ravens, and they're going to, again, take another receiver in the first round, 3 out of 4 years. But, hey, man, it's working for them. They had NFL MVP last year as a receiver or as a quarterback, and they're going to have another weapon there with AD Mitchell going to from Texas going to the Baltimore Ravens. 31, you've got the 49ers. Honestly, I think they're going to trade out of this, but I have them staying here, and it's the 49ers thing. What are they going to do? They're going to take an offensive lineman and just keep churning. I got them taking Olimi Oyafashano from Penn State. I mean, that's a steal. I think that's what they're going to do. If they take a receiver, that spells curtains for Brandon Ayuk. But that's what I think they're going to do here is take an offensive lineman, keep it ugly, and that's what sometimes good teams do. And 32, the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions getting their number one receiver, getting maybe their number two receiver, but with Rashee Rice's incidences happening right now, they're going to take the Georgia boy. They're going to take Lad McConkey, and I think that kind of slot weapon is a good ad for Patrick Mahomes. And I think right away he steps in and he's their number one. I think right away Lad McConkey is better than Rashee Rice right away, and Kadarius Toney. And honestly, the Rice, Toney, McConkey, and Travis Kelce, of course, is a better lineup than Patrick Mahomes has had in a while. So, this was a quick episode, just giving you my last, my official first round of the draft. We didn't get to talk any running backs because running backs just don't happen to go in the first round anymore. I think Dallas is in one for the second rounder. You still got Spencer Rattler, who I think is going to make some noise in the NFL more than his draft position, so he's going to go somewhere. Joe Milton is the quarterback to look out for from Tennessee. Big dude. This is like Josh Allen. So I would love to see the Bills get him and develop him. That would be cool. And as a backup, because he's going to be a late 5th round pick, but Joe Milton is like Josh Allen, like Anthony Richardson, but just not as clean and stuff like that. So he's going to go late. And that is the mock draft. The draft is in a couple days. Tomorrow, as you hear this, and I'm excited for it, and I can't wait for it. If you guys can follow Fantasy Football Bros podcast on every podcast platform and YouTube, but also my other channel I want to promote, the Chazzcast. You can find the Chazzcast on YouTube. You can find the Chazzcast on podcast platforms, and you can also find the new thing I'm doing, the Chazzcast on Twitch. So search it. I'm probably going to do a live watch along on Twitch with you guys. We'll watch the draft together. You guys can come in the chat. We can all talk and have a good time. So again, that's everywhere at the Chazzcast. 2 Z's, the Chazzcast. So thank you for checking it out, guys. Go Bills, and until then, we'll see you next time. Peace.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.